we appropriately acknowledge and remember 9/11. I admit to you that in 2023, I am tempted to move through the formalities and get on with my day. Because as time passes, we almost stop feeling the hurt. It begins for me, I don't want to paint with a broad brush, say this about myself. It feels like a wound that has healed. But I'm reminded that some wounds aren't intended to heal. Some wounds are there for a purpose, so that every time you feel them, you remember how they occurred. As I was stating, the seriousness of the day, I believe I had stated that certain wounds aren't intended to be healed, but rather to remind us of how they occurred. I propose to you that 9/11 is a similar wound. It's a wound that's to remind us why we hurt. The loss of lives of so many innocent individuals, as Reverend Zepi opened up in prayer, invoking the Lord's name and asking that our families would be protected on their way to school and to work. I imagine on that day, so many took it for granted. Mom is going to work. Dad's putting on his uniform. I'll see him this evening. My big brother will be at my game this afternoon. Thousands of lives were lost here on American soil because of a terrorist attack. Hundreds of millions were impacted right here, and billions witnessed it around the world. They saw what occurred on that day, but it was the many days after that the hurt continued, as children did not see their parents back at the dinner table, where birthday parties and candles were blown out, but loved ones weren't around the table to sing, where Sunday services, Sabbath prayers, where those who attended mosques and temples found empty seats. The hurt was strong that year. As the years passed and we came together to acknowledge the days, the temptation is to forget. I admit to you, I worry of a time where we may look at TV and they'll have 9/11 sales. I hope that day never comes. Because the purpose of today, again, is to feel the hurt. Is to remember the losses. It's to inspire us, more to compel us to never forget, to remain vigilant in understanding that there are those around the world that hate America and hate Americans and hate all that we stand for: liberty and freedom, the pursuit of happiness, a nation under God. See, what was so remarkable about 9/11 and the days after, and I use that word understanding the connotation, but I purposely choose it, was the resiliency of the people of this nation. Because on 9/11, and as the horrific events of that day unfolded, I remember the shock that I felt, as I imagine you did as well. For those moments, we were neither black or white or brown. We were neither Republicans or Democrats or independents. All of those differences, those distinctions, those hyphenated identifications that we like to use, they seem to fall to the wayside as we united as just Americans. As we united as a people. Tears were shed. Hands went on the shoulders of those that lost their loved ones. And we looked up to the heavens, crying out to the Most High, the Almighty. Because I still remember on that day, as the reports continued to come in, we didn't know where it would end. For months, we were all on alert. Those colors that indicated how we would operate or approach our day, red or orange or yellow. Forever our lives changed as we go through airports and checkpoints, and understanding that sense of safety, that confidence that we had was shaken. But again, I point to the resiliency of a people that banded together and said, we will move forward. We will rise up stronger. We look to the amazing, brave men and women who put on uniforms and went overseas to defend this nation, to say we will fight. We will protect those left at home. We looked at the amazing and wonderful and brave firefighters and police officers who, with no regard for their own safety, after hearing it was an attack, continued to race towards the scene to save lives, to dig people out hours later, days later from the rubble. And we were inspired. Those heroic acts reminded us of the very best of our nation. As I consider these things, I consider today, and I understand that when we say never forget, it is not easy. It is important. It is upon us to gather each year and tell the stories, because there are some who are 18 years old now and they weren't there when it occurred. They look to it as a moment in history. Perhaps they did not experience it. They didn't feel it like we did, so close in proximity, watching the smoke go up in the air. Many of us could see it from here. I bring all these back to mind so that as the song was being sung by Itzy, our national anthem, as she stated those words, that our flag was still there, I paused and looked up, and I remembered why our flag is so important. It is a symbol of a nation that will never, ever stay down. See, the flag still being there reminds us that there are still amazing men and women out there, overseas and here at home, ready to fight. That there are still people who are willing to put our differences aside. We live with them each day, but when the challenges arise, when we face adversity, we say put that all aside, because we are all one family here. So as I look up at our flag, as I consider the flags that have just been placed at Armory Park, if you saw them, we put them up yesterday, now we have them at 3rd Ward Memorial Park and our Armory Park. As I rise every single time that we are called to pledge allegiance, to sing the anthem, I reflect on that our flag is still there. It is not there only because someone raises it up the flagpole. It is not there only because the poles are high. It is there because the sovereign, the ruler of all the universe, remains over our nation. And as long as that occurs, we will remain strong. So today I join with you in remembering those that lost their lives. I join in your pain and your hurt for those that you know personally who are no longer with us. And this evening, my prayers along with my family will go to all those who continue to celebrate birthday parties, anniversaries, who go off to those wonderful ceremonies of weddings and family reunions and look at an empty seat. Remember that someone they loved was stolen that day. And I pray that from heaven, they look down upon us and they see that we did not just use the words never forget, that our actions demonstrated, not just in ceremony, but in how we continue to support each other and remain united. God bless you. God bless the city of Passaic, and God bless the United States of America.